not necessarily reflect or represent those of the owners, management, or advertisers of Pacific Telestations, Inc. This message has been brought to you by the stations of KUAM.
You're watching Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Good evening, Guam. I'm Jess Lujan. Welcome to this edition of The Buzz. Very exciting show tonight. I have the brother and sister of Monsignor James Beneventi, as you haven't already heard. The situation with his removal, supposedly, according to the Archdiocese or the Archbishop, improprieties, financial mismanagement, and things of that nature. But then a letter that was sent to his attorney saying it had nothing to do with mismanagement. It was just a mere transfer. A couple of weeks later, the Archbishop comes out at a mass at Father Duenas Memorial School, where he announced to the students that there were improprieties in management of the Cathedral Basilica and also the Catholic cemeteries. So here to talk to us tonight are the brother and sister, of course, of Monsignor James Beneventi, who sent a letter to the Archbishop saying, would you quit your slanderous conversations about our brother? We have Peter Leon Guerrero here. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening.
And Mary Leon Guerrero Beneventi Pangilinan. That's a big name tag. Anyway, good evening. And I wish these were better conditions that we're meeting on, but please tell us again. I just preface what was happening, and this is what generated basically the letter, and it broke my heart when I read your elderly mom's signature affixed to this. And your mom's 87 years old.
Yes.
Her son is a Monsignor, and boy, everything should be good. Now mom has to again worry as but she once did when you guys were kids.
Yes. Well,
please tell us.
Yeah. Well, my mom has been very distraught ever since this has happened. You know, I mean, like you said, she's pretty old, 87 years old, in ailing condition, and what has happened to our brother, Monsignor James, you know, has been very troublesome, and we have really suffered. He suffered a lot, and we also are suffering a lot from what has happened to him.
And now, Mary, again, with your brother, and a lot of times we as, you know, we're saying, well, you know, priests are people too, and they're our brother and all that, but, you know, really, when we say that, sometimes we really don't feel that and don't mean it, but you are the brothers and sisters, siblings of Monsignor James. What's it like nowadays? Because he's still working, really, you know, he's still ministering to the people, and you know, he can't turn them away when there's problems and they come to him seeking his advice. He can't say, hey, go out, I've got my own problems. He doesn't do that. He has to set his problems aside. But this is still a heavy burden, especially when you're accused of something, don't have your day in court. I mean, most people do. We live in a democracy.
Right.
And he's awaiting that time, isn't he?
Well, you know, he has not been given the opportunity to speak. The Archbishop has not really come out and given him the list of allegations against him. So he has not really had his, you know, proverbial day in court. And I think it's really unfair, especially in a civilized society that we have today, where the accused is given the opportunity to speak up. He has not had that opportunity. So, you know, it's been very troubling for us to witness all this happening to him. And we feel bad that it's happening to our brother. But I think more importantly is the effect that it has on the Catholic community. It's been very divisive. And, you know, all we really are looking for is to bring this to the fore for the Archbishop to be able to bring this up with our brother and be able to settle, you know, the concerns. Tell him what what the charges are, so that he can really refute or defend himself.
Now, again, early on, one of the things that they said the removal were there was, I mean, I guess the books were in disarray supposedly down at the Cathedral Basilica and also the Catholic cemeteries. The Monsignor James, who brought his management team together, numbers people basically, had come out shortly after the accusation. They said, what are you talking about? You were talking, Archbishop, what are you talking about? The initial letter or audit that came out from Deloitte and Touche talked about the problems. And then the management team came in and looked at took the corrective measures, and all along, and even the Archbishop acknowledged that the books were being put in place. The numbers were making sense, and so again, the only deadline that the management team, alongside with Monsignor James, was the August 15th deadline that they weren't able to meet that because they were removed from their positions. Now, that being said, if those had been the conditions really from the get-go, you would assume that since the onset of the audit, the whole management team would have been removed then, not when things were getting better.
That's true. Well, you know, it's been, it was very shocking when when our brother called. He called me up probably the day before this had happened, and he wanted to give us the heads up that this was going to happen. And he said that, you know, I really tried to keep this an internal affair, because that's how he saw it, that it needed to be dealt with within. But apparently that's really not the intent of the Archdiocese. It was really to remove him. I've always felt that if the Archbishop really wanted to place, you know, the Monsignor in a different parish, then all he had to do was tell him that he wanted to move.
Norm, and correct me if I'm wrong, if things have changed, because I don't think it changed. I mean, Monsignor James just celebrated his 20th year of ordination, of course, and he's been down at the Ganya Basilica ever since, okay? Yeah. If they were to remove him, it would have been a big thing, basically, even to transfer him to another diocese or to another church. I mean, of course, the congregation from Agania would have put in a big festive thing. Thank you for serving down here, and of course, the parish that will be welcoming in will also have a welcoming party, of course, right?
Yeah.
We weren't called to Tamuni, because I'm from Tamuni, okay? We weren't called to a big celebration to come in, so that's not how it's normally done, you know. And so with this, now, the Archbishop had written to Attorney David Lujan that said the removal was based on just a regular transfer. He wrote a letter, and nothing more, nothing less. He said he never mentioned anything about mismanagement, financial mismanagement. It was just a mere transfer. But and then a couple of weeks later, again, there was a recording from Father Dueñas Memorial School where the Archbishop and the Mass, before the Mass ended, something that's inappropriate to do at that time, had mentioned that there were a lot of improprieties in financial management in the Cathedral Basilica, as well as the Catholic cemeteries. So,
well, he needs to bring those allegations out, be specific. You know, that expert financial group that came in and basically went through what supposedly the allegations were unfounded, and there were nothing to support it with facts. And so I think a lot of this is really to impugn my brothers, our brothers.
And that's why I want to say, and I tell you what, I'm going to take a quick break, come back.